what I'm saying is,
there are certain things you can't talk about, bro.
Listen,
simple as that.
I'm not advocating.
I'm not talking about the Muslims. I'm talking about both sides.
Yeah, I'm not advocating inciting violence or hatred towards anybody.
I'm not as well. I'm not as well.
But you have
please don't record me, please, man. I don't want to be recorded, please.
You can actually exercise your freedom of speech.
You can to a limit, though, bro. To a limit.
Freedom of speech.
Yeah,
freedom of speech.
To a limit, though. To a limit. I'm telling you, to a limit. You go out there and say you support Hitler. Go on and say what happened to the Jews was a good thing. Go out there and see. Let me see your freedom of speech then. Let me see what happens to you then.
So why are you assuming I want to go out and
no, but I'm just saying, you said freedom of speech, bruv. You said you have freedom of speech. Now that's a freedom of speech. Go out.
Right, listen.
You could say it. Go and say it then. Say it. No, well, there. You see, you know what? You know you don't believe it. You know you get
What the fuck? What's he on?
No.
You
Listen,
can't
a
talk
lot
to
of them
people.
are on whatever they're on. Well, you know, I got to credit you on your video. You know, when I saw this woman first, right? I thought to myself on YouTube. I thought to myself, I was going to say, sister, get out of there. You can't stay there. Then I listened to you. Then I thought to myself, to hell with it. Stay there, man. Yeah, tell them. You know, respect anyway. You know.
So what did you think of today, pal?
Well, you know what? History, mate. To me, it might seem something silly to someone, you know, something little, but it's history because I used to come down here 2000, right? And I used to interact with a lot of Muslims down here. A lot of them are inside now. A lot of them are saying to people, boy, yeah, that boy there, I used to talk to him, man, he's locked up now for such and such. But then it seems to have got worse because now you're getting certain intellectuals down here, right, that supposedly, you know what I mean, are meant to be peace and love, etc. But what I'm seeing is it's almost like you've got the intellectuals and then you've got certain foot soldiers. You know what I'm dealing with? It's like a mafia thing, brother.
Right, so it's like a veil of something underneath.
Yes, there's foot soldiers. And the intellectuals are talking. You go in there and critique that, then the foot soldiers come in all of a sudden. Right. And they start, you know what I mean, flexing their muscles. And for the most part, from what I'm seeing, a lot of the foot soldiers seem to be ex-convicts that seem to come down. Right. And all of a sudden they've got a form of religion, but you've got a gang behind it.
So it's like an intimidation then, isn't it?
Yeah, brethren, it's there, you can clearly see it. No one can say, you can't
That's
say
not freedom of expression though, is it? That's being bullied.
My friend.
Being bullied into thinking what they're thinking is right.
Big time. For some black people, it's almost like I'm just getting on, I'm doing my thing, you know what I mean? And for some people, white people, I'm just sitting indoors, I'm watching Easters, I'm going down the pub, I'm going to do my nails and all that. You need to get up off your ass, because 30, 40 years from now, if this carries on the way it's carrying on, we're screwed.
We're going to be in a place where it's going to be too late to reverse it. And some people say that already. So we're already.
We're not there yet. But we're getting there. We're getting there. About 30, 40 years from now, trust me, we're screwed. You know, so that's what I've got.
What's your name, sir?
Eddie.
Eddie?
Yeah.
Pleasure to meet you, mate.
Yeah, likewise.
Nice one.
Yeah,
nice one.
Yeah, I'll keep an eye out on you guys. You know, I'm subscribed on your YouTube anyway.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I will.
Nice one, pal. Nice one.
You know what I mean?
Much appreciated.
Yeah, no
so we have to come down here and just show, you know what, we was having this conversation coming down, that for me, it's now a matter for the people. It's not a matter for one individual that you're going to build up. Tommy, yeah. You know what? That is great. The man has brought, he's brought it to the table now. Now it's for the people to go, you know what? I'm with you and I'm going to stand alongside you because you are getting persecuted. And if you fall, we're fucked. We're left with no one then. So there's no point in building someone up. We all need to build up and let the establishment know that we're not fucking about, you know? And it's not an aggression, it's not hatred, it's not anger. We're not targeting it at race. We're targeting it against the establishment that is taking the piss and abusing the citizens of this country. So that's for me. It's like we've all got to stand up now and get a bit of solidarity, you know?
Oh, big time.
And I do feel it this year. I feel a little bit of a buzz coming on.
I feel a little bit. But like I said, if they're on his case, they try to nick him and they try to get him put in jail, I'm going down to the jail myself.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. That's what it is. We were talking before.
I hear my voice. Trust me. The minute I hear they try to set him up, I'm down there.
There was someone in the conversation that we was having on the way down. Someone was saying something like, when a Muslim's been arrested, I think they mentioned a specific case. Loads of Muslims went down to the police station and they had to release the guy because they didn't want the trouble.
They didn't want the trouble.
Now, if anything, if I'm going to compliment them on anything, I'm going to compliment on the way they can rally themselves together and get the job fucking done. Now, for some reason, we're not able to do that yet, but that's what we need to do, you know, and it's all about solidarity, not about one person. if you get 50 people all just as, well, if you're going to arrest me, arrest me as well. And then we all have that mentality.
Well, if you look at the marches, if you look at some of the
We're not
past...
going to get you all here right now. What we'll do is we'll grab all the ones we can grab now, and then we're going to find all your addresses and arrest you one by one.
At the end of the day,
just looking for the excuse.
Well, obviously it was an excuse, but the point is, like I said, if you're in a war, you don't put you don't put the general right to the front. You don't put the general on the front line, and there's no one else to take care of business.
But he put himself on the front line.
No, but this is what I'm saying. You decide to put yourself on the front line. You know these people want to pull you at any time. Yeah. They can play the game any time. So what I'm saying is, it's certain people. We're all left to pick up the pieces now, because where do we go from there? Who's running the show? Who's gonna speak up? Who's gonna speak out against all that?
Although Tommy had a following, it wasn't really a movement as such, was it? You know.
Because it's still fragmented. There's different. I'm sorry, my friend. Yeah. There's different people doing different things, all within the same fight, and we're all kind of, in a way, left out in the cold now, trying to find our way.
I don't know how it happens, but somewhere somebody has got to come in and be the general.
Absolutely.
Take control. Take charge. All these fragmented groups.
Do you see how Eddie put his face once she said that? Did you see? It's just like, boom, I'm here. You know, I'm here. You're looking at him. Just listen to this.
Everywhere. There are lots of them. They're there politically and they're there on the ground. You know, got to come together.
Yeah. You know, how do we do it, Carol? Nanny, how do we do it?
I don't know. I said I don't have the answers. You know.
I think I'm looking at two leaders right here.
There he is.
I think I am.
You know,
I don't know about that.
You know,
Ebony and Ivory.
I actually think I've got my head down here. I'm just praying about it, brother. Look,
coffee and cream.
Coffee and cream.
That's it.
She's the cream. He's the coffee. He's Ebony. She's Ivory. Look at Eddie now. You see? And Eddie say he's ready to take on the leadership of generalship. He wants to be the leader. Okay? Now, in the previous one just now, video, he called two guys out and said if they get two guys in his own movement and they're white, if they get arrested, they'll start singing and being informing on the whole movement. That's what Eddie said. And Eddie said, that's why I want to be the general. Because these white guys in this movement here, in this fascist movement, they haven't got the stomach to take interrogation by the police. They haven't got the stomach to be leadership. It's only me who's got the stomach to be the leadership. I want to be the first black leader of a far-right party in the UK. Give it up to this guy. 3 rounds of applause for Eddie the Coconut.
That's
Loving it.
You see? Yeah. Look, I'll take over, right? And if I fall, Nanny's there. You see? Look, I've got a backup. Yeah. I've got a backup. It's all about a backup.
I might not live that long.
You know what, Nanny? With your poems, I tell you, it's like a Gatling gun. Yeah, and I know you've got enough poems in that.
Don't be fooled by all this laughing what you're seeing. There's a serious plan behind the scenes to get this black guy called Eddie Eddie, the coconut I gave him, original, me, from Truth for Rights TV, okay, to Anti-Gang UK TV. Yeah, me is the person who point this brother out. He's dangerous. They're dangerous what they're trying to do, because they're trying to say we're not a fascist movement party because we got a black guy with dark melanin skin coming in to be the general. And an old nanny, old white lady who looks harmless to the naked eye. But if you look closely at her now, you can see everything she says, all her poems are all to the far right, all to the Britain, all to the far right extremists. If these people really gave a fuck, okay, you would see these people at Grenfell. You know who I saw turn up at Grenfell? I saw EDL people. What was his name? The one who's in prison with Jada, Paul Golden. He turned up, okay, to antagonize people who was mourning. Okay, a couple of days after Grenfell, these people tried to come there. Yeah, with a movement to talk about grooming gangs and talk about things was totally irrelevant to people just losing their fucking lives. Okay, that's the only things these people are doing there. Okay, anything negative. Okay, they don't care about nothing to this black guy here who's got black melanin. Don't give a fuck about nothing to the black issues. Nothing to do with it. He makes me sick to the bottom of the barrel of my stomach.
Clip that you could just keep slapping them with it.
That I did there,
yep.
and I said this to you before, Did I say it?
Say it again.
I did. I was building up to the last poem. Those poems that I read, I've already gone out there somewhere, but not everybody will have heard them. So I'll do them again because they were relevant to this march. It was Brexit, it was freedom of speech, and it was Why We March. I read those three poems. But I was building up to my pièce de résistance, which was, and I was just explaining about the salute, you know, the clenched fist above the head. And Richard asked me to stop because I'd run out of time. So I had a last poem that had everybody waving their flags and doing this.
Do you remember that last poem, or are you a bit too tired to? How long is it? Is it short? Is it long?
Do you want it or
No,
not?
I don't want to hear your poem, okay? I really don't. What I want to do is school you people a bit further, okay? Onto these far right's agendas, okay? Now, the far right actual agenda is to just wipe out the whole of the black race, okay? That's what their agenda is. Any non-white, you're getting wiped out, okay? So I don't know why Eddie doesn't understand a far right's party's motto and agenda. Now they will come out with rubbish like Tommy Robinson, he's not racist. When he found out people in the EDL carried all these fascist beliefs, he left them. Excuse me, he just left the body but kept friends with every single member of that party. Kept his brethren with every single one of them. Okay? So he just went to form his own, make alliances with other different white fascist movements around the whole world. That's all Tommy Robinson did. Okay? And then come back to, and every time he comes back he just gets more of a fascist following. He doesn't get more of a black following or nothing. Okay? No, because Tommy Robinson can't come and sit down next to a black god like me and come and debate with me. A little trick what Tommy Robinson pulled on you. Come on, you people, man. Everyone knows Tommy Robinson's an out-and-out fascist. That's why I go for him. That's why I go for these people and take them down. You know, you got two people, two sides. You got the fascist party, then you got the side that's always opposing them. And black, white, Indian and Chinese marches and oppose the fascists. And that's what side I'm on. You don't have to be Einstein to work out that if you're a person of colour and you belong to a far-right fascist party, you have to be suffering from psychological disorder. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to know that. Okay? And that's what makes me sick about these people. They make black people vent up all this anger and just let it out. But I have to do it. I have to do it because it has to be said. Because if, you know, someone's got to do it. Here he is now.
Unimaginable. But it's got to be done in the right way. There's no point in leading people if you're doing it in a negative way, because that's only going to come back to bite you and everyone that's representing you now. So we was talking on the phone yesterday, and we was talking about how we both agreed as well, how at this moment in time there's a bit of a vacuum. And it's almost like a struggle for power. Now it's what's going to end up coming out on top at this moment in time to steady the ship. The one thing we need now is, as we were talking about yesterday, is some form of leadership to rise from this. Do you want to speak about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I said on my channel that, you know, I think we need to get together. You know, certain YouTubers have put themselves out like yourself, Phil. You know what I mean? You know, I mean, I'm new on the scene, but I'm pretty outspoken anyway. I just tell it like it is, you know. And I think we need to get together and we need to work on a strategy. You know, like I said, I was looking at Montgomery's statue when, you know, a couple of boys got silly the Saturday, you know, and I just said to myself, what would you have done, Monty? And Monty said, there's no leadership. You know, there's no leadership. And no war is won without a general, without a commander. And if that commander falls, there's someone else to take over. You know, obviously, certain people in Tommy's camp never thought of that. You know, because obviously you've got this little bit of a vacuum. And we need to fill it ASAP because there are certain undesirables in the background. You know, I'm sure everyone's educated enough to realise who these people are.
Just slip into that vacuum.
Right, who are dying to cause confusion. Right? But I'm pretty confident, you know, the race is not for the swift, but who's able to stand. I'll always say that. Remember that. It's a slow road, man.
But it opens the door to infiltration even easier now, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, I was saying on one of my videos, I think it's going to be like when we go on a big march, maybe we should have some women with some leaflets, get them vetted by a solicitor to make sure they're not inflammatory, etc., and hand them out and stand up and talk to the member of public. Don't just give them a leaflet. Talk to them and show them your concerns and da-da-da. You know, we need someone in Parliament, my friend. We need someone in Parliament, big time, right? And we've got, you know, maybe a 2-year gap to do that.
Who would you vote for?
Anne-Marie. Yeah, because she was the one, right, when all that went down there with the Tommy free speech, right? And due respect, I'll be honest with you, brother, I'm just telling you like it is, right? I would have rather have her spoke for 15 minutes. She spoke for 2 minutes, right? She mentioned New World Order.
And Anne-Marie Waters is just a racist white lady. I done a talk on her, okay? Have a look.
Space is okay, yeah? That's my Facebook. So if anybody wants to get on there, you know, you jump on there and look, it's important you guys share this video, man, because these people got me on this go slow business, you know what I mean? And people find it so hard to find my channel. But look, I was told this. If you type in Google, right, or YouTube, Eddie is okay, all one word, and then channel, right? Separate that from channel, you should get it, right? But like I said, please send links to other people for my channel, yeah, because like I said, I keep getting on about I'm getting into this teaching, I'm getting into this teaching. Listen, honestly, you guys have got to really appreciate it. I've got a lot of things going on, and now I'm trying to wake up certain people to run a certain march in the future, which I'm not really saying too much about until I actually get into, you know, until I get involved with certain contacts. I can say this much. Okay. You know what, I'll be honest with you, listen. I won't be going to the next march on the 14th, right? You know, because you know what? I'm just too busy. You know, I'm trying to work on my Facebook. I'm trying to get some equipment to sort of like improve situations, like, you know what I mean, what I've got here, you know, and like I said, I'm going to do some sort of GoFundMe or something, because like I said, if you guys really want me to get out there, right, and I'm hearing a lot of people saying that, right, they want me to get out there. I mean, you know, look, if people want me to get out there, right, and do something, right, a little bit of funding somewhere along the line is going to have to be needed, because like I said, if I'm going to buy certain things, right, well, you know what, I'll tell you what, it works like this. When I set up this, I don't know what it's going to come under as a GoFundMe, or I don't think it's going to be a GoFundMe, it's going to be as some sort of funding anyway, I don't know, I haven't got a clue, someone will sort that out for me, right, like I said, I need an iPhone 7, I've got an iPhone 6 at the minute, yeah, you know what I mean, right, iPhone 7 because it's got a lot more memory on it, yeah, you know, and all the attachments that come out with it so I can go out on street. I need an Apple Mac laptop, and well, that's the only thing I can think of for a minute. And obviously, if I'm going from here to Manchester, or if I'm going from here to Rotherham, say, which I would love to go down there and speak and do a speech for them kids that are getting raped and abused, you know what I mean? It takes funding, my friend. You know, so like I said, everything on my YouTube is staying the same. But on that side there, you give if you give, and if you don't give, I just don't go, as simple as that. You know, but you can see, obviously, you know what I mean, so, you know what I mean, my mate said to me, well, you could do with a better computer than you've got at the minute, etc., you know what I mean, because you can see it's a little bit wavy at times, you know what I mean, but you know what I mean, it'll do me, but that's what I'm hearing people are saying, you know what I mean, like, you know what I mean, you got to upgrade, right? It's all changed anyway, but listen, you know what, if you're not interested, good luck to you people, you know what I mean, it's all good, man. Man ain't losing no sleep, you understand? Listen, anyway.
Eddie is okay, is on the bake. Now, I showed you the journey, where he came from, okay? And he said that he wants to be the leader. And Eddie, the message is, if your movement was not racist, you wouldn't be begging for nothing. They would help you. They'd be so happy for you to do speeches. But they're just using you, Eddie. That's why they're not even giving you the bus fares or nothing to get to the places to do any speak. You're not that important. You're very irrelevant. Okay, Eddie? Because you happen to be black, Eddie. Okay? And they're just using you. Okay? Your whole rise and your fall. You know, I'm showing people your whole journey. Okay, how could you stumble upon a march and decide you want to be a leader of a fascist movement and you're stone broke and you haven't even got a proper phone? Come on, Eddie, now this is ridiculous. You're making yourself look really, really sad. Okay, you're just giving black people more of a badder name, a worse name now, because you're saying you're a broke black fascist wannabe leader. This is too much now, Eddie. Subscribe to Prescribe to Anti-Gangs UK. Okay. This is part 8 of me versus this coconut. Goodbye.
For previously marginal anti-immigration parties and joining street movements like the anti-Islamic English Defence League.
Did you ever meet Anders Breivik?
I never. Can I start by expressing our deepest sympathies and our prayers for all the victims and all the families and in the entire country of Norway. And God bless them.
Who committed these atrocious acts was able to come on your demonstrations?
I don't believe he has been on our demonstration, but I believe we should stop speculating and look at the facts. Facts.
I am looking at some evidence here from Daryl Hobson. Do you know who he is?
I don't know. But I thought
you were arrested with him once, weren't
That's
you?
the poppy burning incident. There was other people arrested. I was arrested on my own on that day. But page 14.
You were arrested at the same time. Yes.
No, I wasn't. On the same day. Page 1438 of his dossier, he states the English Defence League are an anti-racist, anti-fascist, anti-Nazi organisation. We can never coincide with this organisation because our ideologies are so far apart. That's what he says.
We'll come to his manifesto in a short time. Mr. Hobson claims.
Who is Mr. Hobson? Mr. Hobson, some random member out of 100,000 members.
Sorry, I thought first of all there weren't. We don't actually know how
100,000 supporters on the internet. Daryl Hobson's one of them. Yeah. No. But more to the point. This man
who has been arrested.
Let's not listen to what Daryl Hobson says. Let's listen to what we encourage integration.
He had 6.
He doesn't praise you. He doesn't praise us. If you listen to what he says in his manifesto rather than speculation, let's look at the facts of what he says on page 1438. I can actually read them. I can read the facts if you want. He actually says.
Just tell me, out of his manifesto, how much of it do you disagree with? 1,500 pages. How much do you disagree with?
Can I state that after 7/7, would you have said this to a Muslim leader because they shared the same ideology?
That's completely irrelevant.
Parts of the same ideology. We believe Islam is a threat. Do we want to stop this happening on British soil, or do we want to play the blame game? We should be trying to learn from this incident.
I'm just trying to establish some facts about the connections between your organisation and his.
Yeah, the EDL man said so.
Presumably, you've also read his listing on one of your forums. Hello to all you good English men and women. Just wanted to say you're a blessing to all in Europe in these dark days.
This was before his manifesto was released, so you can see that his opinion...
Indeed it was almost the last thing he published before he disappeared to make his bombs.
Yeah, and then you've seen his manifesto that he released. The point is, there is a massive...
I've been breaking people shooting. I've no way of shooting.
He seemed to be the Conservatives' dream candidate, a Muslim British Army officer for 11 years who'd done tours of Iraq and Afghanistan. This was Afzal Amin speaking out against extremism after the murder of Lee Rigby.
We won't give in to this extremist narrative, whether it comes from one element or another.
Contrast that to the man apparently filmed seemingly making Machiavellian deals with the far-right English Defence League.
I mean, this is my fantasy here. If you disagree with any of you, please say so. My idea is this, and I've discussed it a bit with Tommy and lots of other people. If I can demonstrate to the people in Dudley that I can be a positive voice for community cohesion, for development, for campaigning against the evils and the terrorism and the child grooming and all the rest of it, then that will help me a lot in the forthcoming election. And one way of doing that is, if you were to announce a second march, say in early May, that you're going to come back and do another march about the mosque, about the planning commissions, whatever else, etc. And then we have 2 meetings with the chief of police, members of the Muslim community. We all play our roles. You say, yeah, we're going to do a march, we campaign, etc. They say, no, don't do a march, we play the roles. We have a second meeting where things are a bit calmer. Then the third one, we have a press conference where we say that we were going to you say that we were going to do a march. The Chief Superintendent of Police, Afzal Amin, former army officer, members of the Muslim community, we've sat together, we've had some discussions, and we realised that we're on a campaign against these things, and we're going to work closer together in addressing these evils in our society. And we want the rest of the country to pay attention to this model of working to avoid conflict and bloodshed and tension and so on. That will achieve three things. Firstly, it will bring the English Defence League out of the shadows into the mainstream political debate. Suddenly, now you're going to be a casualty because you left, a new chairman came, and look at the change. So you're going to get all the credit. You're going to become a casualty.
You're going to be credit, mate.
You're not looking for it. I'm just saying that they're going to think about how this happened. So when you say, well, as the chairman, my political philosophy is that negotiation, discussion, working partners, etc. People will listen. The second thing it will achieve is the issues that you want to campaign against. Nationally, people will think, okay, actually, there's a better model of dealing with them than we've had so far. And the third thing it achieves is, if I win my election, in Parliament, you've got a very strong, unshakable ally who's going to work hard to get you involved in all the institutions of the state and get you the exposure you need and the people in Parliament need to you to understand the issues. Because like I said from the very beginning, 95% of what you want to campaign against, we're with you. So if we can work together in the next 6-7 weeks, get a couple of people from Dudley, we'll give them a small salary. Because I would love to be able to arrive in Parliament and say, I won this seat because these 3,000 white working class English voters that have never voted before.
Is it only 3,000?
If you manage to pull this off, and I arrive in Parliament with a 3,000-4,000 majority, I can say to David Cameron, I won this seat because we've reached out with our network to these people, and here are their views. Their views are, they don't want to see mega mosques in Dudley.
Afzal, it's Tommy.
Hi, how are you, mate?
I'm not bad, you?
Yeah, very good, thanks.
What's happening? How you doing, mate? Can you hear me? Sorry, I got bunged up.
So did you get home all right that evening?
Yeah, I got home. I didn't go home till 4 o'clock. The M1 was shut. I didn't get until 4 a.m.
Because roadworks?
Yeah, because of roadworks. And then I had a mad day yesterday as well. I was out all day. I was in Basildon, then London, and I was out late, man. So, nah, I'm good. How did you think it went?
Well, yeah, I mean, from our side, yeah, we're very happy to proceed.
Yeah.
What's Edda saying?
Edders will do it. Edders will do it.
Great.
It's just when and how.
Well, if he announces in the next couple of days, at the 2nd of May, the EDI, Britain First has just announced a march happening in Dudley.
Britain First have announced one in Dudley. When for?
Yeah, let me just check my email. I've not read the email yet. I just received it. Let me just see what it says.
May the 9th?
Yeah.
Okay, so when do you want Edders to announce his for?
2nd of May.
2nd of May?
Yeah.
Okay, and do you know what he should be saying? Because you said you need 2 people on the ground. And you met Andy, didn't you?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
He's thinking of Andy and someone else, because Andy knows everyone in Cateshill. He knows everyone in all those areas.
Yeah.
So he's thinking of those. It's just Edders doesn't know what he's offering them, what he's actually putting to them, what he's saying to them, how many days, what he needs them to do. Edders is not aware of really what he can say to them, who's paying them, etc., or whether he doesn't know what to say to them. You know what I mean?
You mean we can't pay them? That would be illegal.
You can't pay them. No, okay.
Yeah, that would be illegal. So what's being proposed to you is that you hire them.
Okay.
And then we'll work out what contribution, if any, they can make directly to our campaign and what they can do directly for you. But let's talk about that face to face.
Yep. Okay then. Cool. No problem.
Yeah, because we obviously can't hire people in that way because that would be against election rules, and we don't want to break any rules.
That's okay. So what? So I'll pay them, and then we'll sort something out between me and you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, no problem. Okay.
Yeah. So let's talk about that face to face.
Yeah, okay.
So if they go ahead and say that Britain First on March on the 9th of May, we don't mention it, just announce it and say, the Britain First publicity stunt. She's only that they've only got 20 followers anyway.
Yeah, they are.
She's not going to get many people here. But the EDL, we are going to march again on the 2nd of May, and then we'll start our formal. Once that's announced, then in about 2 days' time, we'll arrange the first meeting between the Chief of Police, Edders, Andy, a couple of local the Muslim lads that you've already met as well, and we'll have that meeting. Then we'll have a second meeting, and the third one will be a press conference where we'll announce actually we're not going to have it because it's too disruptive and too expensive, etc. and so on.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll speak to Edders and tell him you get the ball to get the ball in motion. Yeah.
Great.
All right, cool.
Brilliant. Thanks very much.
No
Cheers,
problem.
mate.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Eddie is okay here. I'm with Brian Harvey, and we're going to have a bit of a discussion about a video Brian done the other day. I'm sure most people have seen it. If you haven't seen it, I'm sure Brian will put it in the link somewhere down below. Yeah, so you can actually have a look at it, so you can get the a feel of actually what's going on.
The world is a vampire sent to drain secret destroyers.
Good morning, Brian. This is Reg Cray speaking. It's Friday the 6th of August. I spoke to your gran yesterday, a lovely person as you know, and I was very pleased that you stay there whenever. And I'd like to give you, before I give you some words of advice, which I help you, because I genuinely want to help you, say hello to your gran for me. Give him my love.
As soon as I started talking to any of the people round the craze, they'd all say the same. They'd say, of course, you see, Bob Boothby, he was a friend of Ronnie's. Ronnie used to get him boys. He was always down at the East End.
He never tried to hide that, you know, he was raving puff, simple as that. And get guys bringing boys into him, prospects they call them, bring them into him, either to curry favour or to sort of ease the way in the door. But he'd phone him first and say, I've got a lovely boy for you.
This unpublished manuscript, written by Ronnie Hart, a cousin of the Crays who later gave evidence against them, gives for the first time an insider's account. Hart wrote, "Lord Boothby was among the people who attended, and on one occasion Ronnie swapped boys with him."
What I did say at the time when I made a speech in the House of Commons is that I admitted no guilt of any kind, except the guilt of being a gambler, which I am by nature, and I've stuck to that ever since, and of course that's what saved me, because I couldn't have survived if I'd been guilty of anything beyond that.
The great and the good engineered the niftiest, swiftest cover-up, which netted Lord Boothby £40,000. An official apology, grovellingly printed on the front of the Sunday Mirror, for something which was pretty well the truth.
I was in a nightclub called the Old Morocco in Gerrard Street, and the twins were in there, accompanied by Boothby, wearing one of his ridiculous bow ties, and they had a couple of young boys with them on the table, sitting at the table, and after a while Boothby got up to leave. One of the boys went with him, and they went out the door into the street, and about 2 minutes later I heard Boothby's voice, Ronnie, come out here a minute." He had a very nice voice, did Mr. Boothby, and Ronnie's got up and got out, and Billy Gentry, the manager, went with him, and apparently the young boy who'd gone out with Lord Boothby didn't want to go home with him. And Ronnie said to him, "You will go home with Mr. Boothby. You will do anything Mr. Boothby wants, or I will hurt you badly." So, of course, the kid went home with Mr. Boothby, didn't he?
In the end, I think I'm going to contact this guy because he's running around with a camcorder, and I've got 3 Canon 5D Mark IIs, and I can set him up a lovely setup when he films his when he films his victims and stuff, because this is real stuff. I was believing, and this needs to be done in a really good quality way instead of just on a camcorder. So I contacted him, and I also told him that when I lived in Walthamstow, in another part of Walthamstow before I'm in the house that I'm in now, I think that one of Sidney Cook's gang was living next door to me. Right. Because I bumped into one of my neighbours from that little close.
Jason Swift.
Jason Swift, yeah, Jason, the murder of Jason Swift, and so I bumped into a woman called Beverly who used to live on the same little close where this guy lived right next door to me, and when I was a kid, I can remember this weird skinny geezer leaning out the window with a camera, but there was a field over the back of the new development where we lived, and I thought, well, maybe he's just taking pictures of that. There was a low-flying kestrel, and, you're a kid. I didn't know what a paedophile was. I had no idea whatsoever. And I thought of this after I spoke to this woman, Beverly, and she said, yeah, we moved from there because of that thing that was living next door to you. And I remember saying to her, yeah, what was his name? Was his name Rick or something? And she goes, I can't remember his name, but it was something to do with the killing of that Jason Swift. So when I got home, I Googled it, and I thought, oh, mate, I've had one of Sidney Cook's gang living next door to me and didn't know it. This geezer was taking pictures when I was younger and that. There was a few of us little kids there. And so obviously, when I've gone to contact Bill Maloney, I've put this in the email, and I think this may be one of the things that tipped it over the edge, and he contacted me straight back.
This man has been freed from prison, even though he's killed children and says he'll do it again. This man is his accomplice. He's coming out in time for Christmas. This man is their leader. He'll be out by Easter.
There's a time bomb just waiting to explode amongst the three of them, where they will be a grave danger to the public.
The story the police pieced together had close to its heart Robert Oliver. It went beyond anything some of London's most hardened officers had ever seen. The men who'd killed Jason Swift had strangled him to death for pleasure during sex.
There were a number of people at that flat in Hackney when Jason Swift was killed, all of whom had sexual activity with Jason Swift. And although they didn't all strangle Jason Swift, they were certainly party to the strangulation, because they were there and willingly took part in it. And Oliver was one such person. He was there and helped to strangle Jason Swift and kill him.
The horror of this was too much even for one of the paedophiles involved. The evidence of Leslie Bailey led to the conviction of Robert Oliver and Sidney Cook for the manslaughter of Jason Swift. A third gang member was convicted of indecent assault. Robert Oliver is the first to be released. The police officer in charge of the case has no doubt he should still be inside.
Oliver was involved in other murders of other children. The evidence that we had presented to us during our investigation suggests that he was certainly involved in the murder of at least one more boy. And I believe that although the allegations centred on the deaths of 20 children that he and others were involved in, I believe at least 6 children have been killed by Oliver and his associates.
As the authorities were powerless to act, people in Swindon made Oliver's life hell until he moved on. The police gave him a lift back to London. He headed to the East End, where he'd killed Jason Swift. The police there decided not to tell local people. It was several days before they found out. They were not pleased.
Paedophile child killer Robert Oliver is back in hiding tonight, forced out of an East London hostel by parents angry that he was living in their community.
These mothers simply couldn't believe that Oliver was back at the scene of his crimes.
Because of the phone tapping evidence that I got, because I've also got evidence on Andy Coulson. So who live tweeted the whole hacking trial, Kellaway confirms he knew nothing of phone hacking or Millie Dale's voicemails being accessed. Now I tend not to believe him because I've got his police witness statement from April 2002, 26th of April 2002, where he recorded my calls. So what am I supposed to think?
And you're going to put that evidence up?
I'm going to put that. I've been putting it up for a few years.
Well, I mean, obviously within the context.
Yeah, within a new context now, where obviously I'm being heard.
Yeah, because we're just going through slowly but surely through a timeline.
Yeah.
And
we are relieved to have this verdict returned and would like to thank the jury for their decision. At last, the man responsible for the cruel murder of our darling daughter so many years ago has been found guilty. However, for us, the trial has been a truly awful experience. We have felt that our family, who have already suffered so much, has been on trial as much as Mr. Belfield. We have had to hear Millie's name defamed in court. She has been portrayed as an unhappy, depressed young girl. Ordinary details any mother would recognise have been magnified into major problems. The Millie we knew was a happy, vivacious, fun-loving girl. Our family life has been scrutinised and laid open for everyone to inspect and comment upon. We've had to lose our right to privacy and sit through day after harrowing day of the trial in order to get a man convicted of this brutal murder. To actually see that man in court, a man capable of such a vile and inhuman crime, has been grotesque and distressing for us. The length the system goes to protect his human rights seems so unfair compared to what we as a family have had to endure. I hope whilst he is in prison, he is treated with the same brutality he dealt out to his victims, and that his life is a living hell. For a mother to bury her child in any circumstances is truly agonising. But to bury your child when you know she died in such an appallingly awful way is terrible. The pain and grief, the damage he has done to our family and friends will never go away. We have just had to learn to live alongside it. A day does not pass when we do not think of her and the life that she might have led.
Rooms, right?
Yes.
This right. It was important that you had the backstory on John Harris there, right? Because this is why it's so weird.
Okay.
I couldn't remember this thing, whatever it was, but John was sure, and I'm thinking, how does he know anyway? Right. So anyway, a little while after that, Daniela pops up on the scene, didn't she? Right. Ain't seen her for years. Comes round here, right? Starts getting on this child abuse thing and that. Oh, I know loads, and she claims she was abused as a child, and we're talking about all sorts of stuff. We're talking about the ex-manager Tom Watkins, because she was friends with a girl called Danny Bear, and Danny Bear was in a group called Faith Open Charity who Tom Watkins used to manage. So I was hearing all sorts of stories. But anyway, I said to Daniela,
hang on, what
John
sort
Harris
of stories?
John, hang on, let me get to this first. John Harris has said to me, Dan, that apparently in some nightclub somewhere, I've seen some secret door open or something, right? And she went, oh, yeah, you know where that was? That was when we was in Brown's, and we went up and we was in the geezer's office. Do you remember? And then he hit a button and the wall moved and we went upstairs again. And I went, oh, yeah. Now, the reason I couldn't remember that, I would never have remembered that. But it was the secret door. I remember being bewildered with this. Oh, mate, that's brilliant. I've always liked a fireplace that turned round. You know what I mean? Or stairs lift up and you got a secret room. Do you know what I mean? Like a little, like a panic room, or put a studio in there or something.
So what was it again? It was in Brown's, and where is Brown's?
That was up. Where is that? It's up London, like up. I can't remember exactly, man. I'm terrible with them roads and all that up there. Brown's nightclub. If you Google Brian Harvey, Daniela Westbrook, go to images, and the first one that comes up on the top left, you'll see her standing outside the front door on that very night. I've got like a brown V-neck woolly jumper on with my cap backwards, and you'll see the Browns logo of the door, the nightclub behind us. So it'll all be there. But that was the night, right? That was the night. And so it's funny that there's a picture there, because I'm trying to have it help me remember where I was at then, and I can't remember back that far. I can't. Right, but
so she said, sorry, what year was that then?
That's got to be 1993 or 1994.
No, quite early on.
It was quite
sorry, when you went to the office, what part opened the wall?
I remember the desk was sort of, you could walk round the back of the desk, so your back would be to the back of the wall and the desk was in front, and it was behind the desk to the right, I think. And that moved, and we went up some stairs. Right. And at the top of the stairs, there was a curtain over the door. And the guys sort of opened the door for us, pulled the curtain back, and Danny's walked through with me holding her hand. And it's like we've had to walk sort of 3 or 4 meters to go through this room, which goes out into a corridor with more rooms off of it, right? And it was all red. The floor was red. The walls were red. The lighting was red, closed red lighting, like them little IKEA red lamps. It was red. And we've had to cut through this room to get to the red corridor. And as we've cut through this room, I've sort of turned holding Danny's hand and got my head down like, sorry, you know what I mean, one of them. And I've looked to the left and I've clocked this knee, which I thought was this woman's knee. And I saw this knee and I thought, something don't look right there. That knee looks really skinny, man. I thought, I ain't filling out the suspender properly. And as I looked round and I looked up, I thought, she was done up like a woman, but it was a girl. She was I don't know, 13 or something. I don't know. You know, and I remember it was the knee that done me. I thought that knee don't look right. I had to take a double look. I thought this woman looks a bit weird. And I looked back, I thought, no, she's young. And I looked next to her, and it was a boy in a suit. And then there was like 4 adults around them. And I don't know them people are.
And how old was the boy?
he looked younger than the girl.
Like 10?
11, 12 could have been.
Mm.
Just guessing, you know what I mean? But then, you know, back then, no one had heard of paedophiles. No one had heard of this. I've just got into the industry. So I'm not taking notice. Nowadays, I'd be like, oh, yeah, that ain't right straight away. Do you know what I mean? But
Meet E17, the nastiest EastEnders since 3010. 4 diamond geezers hailing from Walthamstow and named after their postcode. These bad boys have really done good. Masterminded by ex-Bros and Pet Shop Boys manager Tom Watkins, E17 are now firmly on the map. Welcome to the Word Boys.
Lovely lads. Listen, nice to meet you, old chap. Tom, you've actually said that you sell sex rather than pop music.
Absolutely.
So which one of these guys out of these 17 grabbed your eye the first time then?
Well, I slept with all of them initially, do you know what I mean? Tony, I knew him for years. He danced for us with Faith Open Charity, who Danny knows only too well, and we picked up the boys from that show.
How much money did you actually make out of Bros? Because they've, like, sort of faded into poverty and oblivion, haven't they?
Well, we rip everybody off, man, so there's a lot of dough. A lot of dough.
I mean, did you think he'd rip us off, or did you actually think this guy can make us a lot of money, Tony?
Yeah, I think he can, and he has done. I've got £350 in the bank now.
What, £3 or 350? I mean, you also managed Danny, as Danny said before.
Sure, yeah.
Did you make Danny a few, Bob?
Well, not really. The girls always frightened me to death, and she was certainly no exception, you know. But we tried very hard.
Can I just ask Tony something? Tony, is he still a big fat gay bastard like he was then?
Absolutely. Fatter now.
He's lost a lot of weight.
He has. He's looking good, Tom. Looking good.
Exactly. So that weight wallet.
So, who throws the most tantrums out of the lot of you?
Terry.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think we all throw the same, really.
Do you?
Yeah.
Now, you've got this big bad boy image. Are you deciding to clean it up or get rougher?
We tried to clean it up. We didn't give it. Take that gave it to us, didn't they?
Yeah. What do you think of them? What do you think of them, Tom?
I think their manager is a very talented man.
Yeah, I think they're a very talented band. They deserve all the fame and fortune that dear God shall come.
It's very humble of you.
He's a humble guy.
Now, we're on the Virgin theme tonight, so
I'm still a
I think
virgin.
everybody here wants to know when you lost yours and if you have. Tony, we'll start with you.
Thanks, yeah. I lost mine. My mum and dad's watching. I lost mine when I was 16. I was so ugly at school that I couldn't get a bird. I went to a prostitute.
How much did you pay?
I didn't pay, my friend paid, so...
You got it for free, then?
I was scared. She was a big woman, I was a little girl. I was a little girl.
How about you, Brian?
Me? I was 14. I went with him.
You were with him?
I went with him. Nah, I was 14. I lost it to a girl called Karen. But I sat then, really.
And how about you, boys?
Yeah, I was 16.
I was 11.
11? What were you doing at 11?
I got caught for it as well.
Did
Had
you?
to go to the police station and all that.
So,
for rape.
well, you guys are going to hang around with us for the rest of the show?
Okay.
Yeah? Sonny?
Two-thirds. Two-thirds. We've been for two-thirds.
We talked about you.
Yeah.
Two-thirds, and what type of music?
We're launching them on the 7th, you know, big attitude and sort of a big gay following, that kind of stuff, dance music. Good guys.
Brilliant. Well, thanks for coming on. And girls, any kind of secret gossip you can tell us about what's coming up? No, what can we say?
Well, Margaret's and Beth's relationship carries on. There's a sort of a few.
Yeah, we see all the consequences of it, and it doesn't just end like anything in Brookside.
You don't see anything, though. You're not allowed to actually see forbid it, so you can't show much.
Yeah, listen, Brad, I've noticed you always wear this hat, right? But, You're growing hair! That's cheating, though, isn't it?
Because what it was, right, was I had locks, yeah? I had extensions, then I had locks, and they was like down to here. And like, I couldn't sleep with them. And just cut them off, man.
What, you couldn't sleep with your locks? Now, according to Tony, when I met you a few weeks back, you told me he sleeps with everything else.
Yeah, he does.
Yes! It's only because he's got his pyjamas on. I'm not saying this.
Funny.
What's funny?
What?
Did you go to school with any 17 fans, Anna?
I went to school with all of them.
Yeah. No, but with any fans of the band?
No, sorry.
Not up there in Rochdale?
I don't know if they existed then, did you?
Yeah, we've always existed.
You've always said, I just didn't know about you.
Always will be.
I mean, do you object when people say that you're exploiting a lot of these young lads?
No. Not at all.
I mean, because I look at you...
As long as I can sleep with most of them, I don't really care.
But you actually remind me in a way of a lot of those old 60s-style managers, you know, people who manage people like Tommy...
rich, you know.
You know, the sort of Andrew Oldhamy types and all that.
Yeah, definitely.
He's having a go at you.
Is that you model yourself on, in a way?
I just come back in a time machine. They dig me up every 10 years and there I am with another one, you know?
Yeah, I mean, what kind of music would you actually listen to yourself? What kind of music do you like?
My new band, 2/3, the E17, few Pet Shop Boys discs, you know.
You're not a bit biased, are you?
Yeah.
No, what, does he listen to that all the time?
No, seriously, yeah. Really? Listen to a lot of club music. It's more up to date with the club music than we are. Because we've been out promoting, we're out of the
I'm a raver. I'm a roly-poly raver.
We know it.
I'm completely not a raver. I tell you what, someone who's not raving tonight but is dying slowly is our Hufty.